list, which actually begins from the Rajasuya Yagya that is done by Maharaj Yudhishthir. So when the Rajasuya Yagya was concluded, then Shishupal, who was a cousin of Krishna, became very angry. And Shishupal by nature was very envious of Krishna. So when he saw how Krishna was being glorified by everybody, including great personalities, he actually became more and more envious. So much so that he could not restrain himself. And then he at one point he got up, and in the presence of everyone, he started hurling all kinds of insults at Krishna. And beginning from, and Shishupal was intimately aware of Krishna's pastimes. So beginning from when Krishna was a small child in Vrindavan, he says that he went in and killed a measly water snake, and everybody said that it was great Kaliya. And he is the killer of cows. He not only cows, but he's been killing calves. And he's a known bad character who consorts with the wives of other men. So Krishna, because he had given that benediction to Shishupal's mother, that he would forgive 100 insults. So he was waiting and counting. And when he reached the 100 count, then Krishna releases his chakra and Shishupal's head is cut off. So that was not the most amazing part. The amazing part was that in the presence of everybody, in the vision of everybody, the soul of Shishupal entered into the lotus feet of Krishna. And Yudhishthir was shocked. So there was Narad Muni sitting next to him, and he said, how is this possible? That there are personalities who spend millions and millions of years in mystic practices, and they are not even able to get a vision of the toenails of Krishna. There are people who have perfected karma and jnana, and they are not even able to see the shadow of Krishna. But I see this person who from the beginning was envious of Krishna. So Shishupal was so envious that even before he learned how to speak, he learned how to curse Krishna. So when his mother used to teach him basic words like parents do, call your mother this, call your father this, but instead of saying that, he would curse Krishna. So Yudhishthir was aware of this. Of course, it did not help that Krishna stole his to-be wife. So Rukmani was supposed to be married to Shishupal, and Krishna kidnapped her. That definitely did not help. So Yudhishthir Maharaj, he said that this person, he has been envious since birth, and he has acquired this greatest benediction of entering into Krishna's lotus feet. How is that possible? So Narad Muni, in response to that, he first gives the philosophy in a few verses, and then he illustrates it through a pastime. So the philosophy that he gives is rather simple and straightforward, that if one way or the other one is able to think of Krishna, the person's life will be perfect. And he says that Shishupal out of envy, Kamsa out of fear, the gopis out of lust, and other personalities in different ways have concentrated their thoughts on Krishna. And because Krishna is all good, he is all purifying. He is Bhavagrahi Janardhan, he takes the essence. So they have all been the recipient of the mercy of Krishna. And then Narad Muni says, how much more so for those who think about Krishna favorably. So it's an encouragement for devotees that even if one is thinking about Krishna with animosity or envy or fear or anger or lust, they attain perfection. Sarvavidi nishedhyashvar etayoreva kinkara. That always think of Krishna and never forget Krishna. So if one is able to achieve that goal, then Sarvavidi nishedhyashvar, everything else, whether it is deity worship or studying of the Bhagavatam or Vaishnav Seva or Dham Seva or all the 64 items of bhakti, they are etayor eva kinkara. So they are subservient for this. In fact, they are there to achieve this principle. All the 64 angas of bhakti, they are there so that yena kena prakarena Krishna mana niveshaya, that somehow or the else our mind goes to Krishna. When we look at the deities, our mind goes to Krishna. When we chant, our mind goes to Krishna. When we are in the association of devotees, our mind goes to Krishna. When we see the tilak on the forehead of devotees, our mind goes to Krishna. So everything that we do is to remind each other. That's why we say Hare Krishna when we greet one another. So the person who is saying and the person who is hearing, their mind goes to Krishna. And then he starts discussing about the pastimes of Lord Nrsinghadeva and Prahlad Maharaj. So Prahlad Maharaj, he exemplifies Smaran. So amongst the 9 angas of bhakti, Shravana Kirtana, Smarana Vandanam, Padya Sevan, Dasya, Pujan, Sakhijan, Atma Nivedan, these are the 9 angas of bhakti. Prahlad Maharaj is said to exemplify Smaran. That he was in the mood of always thinking about Krishna. And what was Krishna's reciprocation? That he was pit against one of the most powerful personalities in the universe. So powerful that even the demigods were scared of him. They were scared of the movement of his eyebrows. If his eyebrows moved, Indra was scared. With the exception of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiv, there was nobody in the universe who did not come to the court of Lord Hiranyakashipu and pay obeisances. In fact, Narad Muni, when he is reciting this pastime, he says, even I used to stand there and glorify Hiranyakashipu. So that was the prowess of Hiranyakashipu. That he performed austerities for 36,000 years. And at the end of that time, his body had completely dissolved. When Lord Brahma came to give him benedictions, then he could not actually find where Hiranyakashipu is. And then after looking around carefully, he saw that there was a skeleton that was standing on one foot. But the pran, the life hairs, were kept inside the skeleton by the powers of his siddhis, by the power of his yoga. So against him was this 5-year-old boy. And it's not a one-time confrontation. It goes on and on and on. So it's not that they had a one-time face-off and then after that Hiranyakashipu withdrew. He tried everything. Sam, Dam, Bhed, Dand, everything. Earlier on he said, you're a small child and you have obviously been polluted by the time that you spend in the ashram of Narad Muni. So time for you to get rectified. Through the teachers, he tried to sow the seeds of uncertainty in his mind. The teachers who were the sons of the great Shukracharya, very learned themselves. Generally we caricature them as, in plays we caricature them as like bumbling fools, but actually they are not. They would not be the teachers of the students of the great Hiranyakashipu. And they were using the same basis that Narad Muni had used to convince Prahlad Maharaj, the Vedas. So they were using the Vedas to show to him why his duty is to follow the instructions of his father, his duty as a king, as a prince, his duty towards the lineage. So they were creating divisiveness in his mind. And then Dand. So many times Hiranyakashipu tried to kill Prahlad Maharaj. So first he got his soldiers to try. With spears, they threw him off the cliff, put him in hot water, put him in a pit full of snakes and scorpions. Nothing happened. And then finally in desperation he said, okay, I'm going to kill him myself. And that's when Lord Nrsinghadeva appeared from the pillar and kills him in a way that he satisfies all the demands that he had placed as boons from Lord Brahma, and still kills him. Then later on, when Lord Nrsinghadeva is sitting on the throne and he is in a very angry mood, so the Devas are very scared of how to approach him. So finally, they push Prahlad Maharaj, saying that you go and pacify. And then Prahlad Maharaj goes and he recites these wonderful prayers to Lord Nrsinghadeva. And Lord Nrsinghadeva, he takes him and he actually sits him on his own lap. He puts his hand or paw on his head, and with his own tongue he, just like a lion licks its cub, Lord Nrsinghadeva, he was licking the head of Prahlad Maharaj. And he was giving him the opportunity for so many benedictions. What do you want? Do you want dominion on this? Do you want a kingdom greater? And Prahlad Maharaj said, no, nothing. So this is the power of associating with Krishna. That you get Krishna's personal association. You get Krishna's complete protection. So sometimes when people listen to this pastime, they ask this question, which I'm going to ask to you, which would be a segue into also you sharing as to how do you feel Krishna's hand in your life. But first, if you can think of this question, that Prahlad Maharaj went through so much of trials and tribulations, both in a gross sense and in a subtle sense. That in his mind, he was tortured by those who held a position of respect. So his own father, that he respected, his teachers, that he respected, even his mother, she was guilty of inaction. Even though she did not participate in it, but she did not do anything to stop. So much of mental torture and so much of physical torture. So if Lord Nrsinghadeva was truly protecting Prahlad Maharaj, why didn't he just kill Hiranyakashipu right away? Why did he have Prahlad Maharaj suffer so much? Was he limited in his ability to protect, or was there a test that was going on? So that's my question to you for discussion. And I think the segue from this, as I said, would be to see how the presence of Lord in the form of Lord Nrsinghadeva can be experienced in our own lives. So let me go ahead and unmute. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Nice explanation. Like one reason that I could, there are so many reasons that why Nrsinghadeva waited that long. Like one reason is like to establish the glories or glories of his devotees. Unless Prahlad Maharaj faced so much torture and still stick to the devotional service of the Lord, how would that glory will be spread around the world, and it will be encouragement for other devotees. But another reason also, like like you mentioned, like Lord can kill Hiranyakashipu anytime by fulfilling all the conditions, everything too. But even the mean behavior, how low one can go also out of in the material consciousness, that also will not be known. People may say that if the whole world is flourishing under the kingdom of Hiranyakashipu, whether Indra rules or Hiranyakashipu rules, what is the difference? One may say, but that waiting, it also shows the true nature, how ugly one can. The similar thing like how Duryodhan and his party misbehaved with Mother Draupadi and all. Unless Krishna allows their free will, like these demoniac people's free will, if he doesn't allow, how would the world know what is there in their mind? So these are a couple of things I could think of.
Thank you, Prabhu.
One realization that I feel I get from the story of Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad Maharaj is like Maharaj is such a young soul, but he's so much into devotional service that it's like such a mature soul for his age. So that kind of is a big learning point for everybody, that it is not that your devotional service is not a subject of your age, but rather of your attitude.
So, Prabhuji, I want to add something here about Bhakt Prahlad. Like, that's how we used to read in the book Bhakt Prahlad. That's the first time the Bhakt word we heard about. After that, Bajrangbali and all these people, they came, all these Bhagwan, they came. But something what I take from his life is that this Bhakt Prahlad has gone through a lot of trouble, or I would say hard time, because he was the guy who never got the love of his father, because he really, he worked really hard for that, but he never got the love of his father. Then the second thing what is key in his life, that he never asked anything for himself. He always asked for the other people. So even he was going through all the trouble also, he will always say, this is the Prabhu Icha. Prabhu agar ye cha raha hai to so be it. So that is the one of the thing which I see in his life, and then his father was also, I would say that his father in one way, he was also kind of bhakt of also Bhagwan Vishnu, because he used to take the name of Bhagwan Vishnu so many times. You mean like now say years of Krishna. So he will always take the name of him. So he was same thing. The Sisupal also, he was also like that. He will always take the name of Krishna. So I believe that. So indirectly, he was also kind of looking for a benediction, or or a moksha from Bhagwan Vishnu or from Krishna. So I feel that there is something that both people, like here Bhakt Prahlad and also Hiranyakashipu, they are the opposite end of the pole, but they were still very much devoted with, it's the kind of showing devotion. So that was also kind of showing devotion to the Lord.
Thank you, Prabhu. Other thoughts, realizations?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So I think, Prabhuji, that is also a reflection of how we are supposed to lead our life. And like we see in other pastimes of Krishna, where the endeavor of a devotee and mercy from Krishna both play an equal and important role. But as you had taught us earlier, that our endeavor is what we can do, but Krishna's mercy is in Krishna's hand. So it's very important to accept that as a fact, and with our faith we still have to continue doing our endeavor, and it's up to Krishna when he will manifest. So the same happens in our life also these days, and every day actually, not just at this time, wherein we are one way or the other suffering. There are lots of ups and downs, and we always pray to Krishna whenever we need him, and otherwise also in terms of our thank yous. But it is up to Krishna when he will manifest, and in Bhagavad Gita he has guaranteed that eventually he will help us. It's just a matter of time. So I think we as an aspiring devotee have to have our faith and determination intact, and like he came for Prahlad Maharaj at right time, like he has come and bestowed us his mercy many a times. I'm sure that's how Krishna takes care of everyone.
Very good. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for sharing. Any other thoughts?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I think in my view, it could be Krishna wants to emphasize that his name is known different from his form, and also I think just like a mother knows like when his child is actually need her, so that's she only knows like when her child is like crying for help for real, right? So that is something maybe Krishna was waiting for it. And then also just like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said like I don't kill the whole like army in 1 second, but it's he just only glorifies his own devotees to lead the way to do that. And also to so that we can have these pastimes where we are still discussing about like Lord Nrsingh's experience. So if we would have like just like come and then kill Hiranyakashipu, then there won't be any pastime. We won't be even thinking about it. And then that actually gives sometime or the other we give us this strength that okay, when we see such a exalted devotees went through so much pain and tribulation, still they didn't lose the path of bhakti and what they really achieved. So we should be aiming aim, at least we can't like be well like them, but at least we can be follow their path and then see what they actually gave us and then how led us with example. And also like Bhakt Prahlad Maharaj has given such a like 9 process of bhakti, and then he has given us so much of nectar like how to do the bhakti and how actually we can claim the like love towards Krishna. So yeah, those are few things which I added.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
I would add the same thing. The thing I feel is, all through our difficulties, as long as we have Krishna in our mind constantly, all the difficulties he went through, he did not feel even one little bit of pain or suffering. And at the end, regardless, even in the fire, he did not burn. Even the pause, in the sense that all the difficulties won't be felt, and we will be rescued in the right way wherever we don't have to worry at all. Is my one of the things you can take from it.
Thank you.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. So I would just like to add that to say that he took long to come and save him is one way to see it, and the other way is even if he did not come personally, he always protected Prahlad. That's the reason when he was thrown in the snake pit, nothing happened to him. He came out like he was put in fire. He came out unscathed. So his blessings, his mercy was always with Prahlad. Yes, he did not come personally. And I also think that as long as his army was trying to harm Prahlad, Nrsinghadeva was not that bothered, I would say, because he was, he was taking care of him. But as soon as the father attacked the son, that was it for him. I think that's when he came personally, and he took so much of, I shouldn't say pain, but for us, it looks like it's so much of pain for him to come, like not in day, not in night, in the twilight time, and then cannot use a weapon. He has to use his nails. Then not in that ferocious form, not even a human form. He couldn't even take a human form or a So he took so much of pain, and finally he came. But his blessings, his presence, his protection was always there with Prahlad.
Thank you, Shivani. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else has any thoughts like to share?
Sorry, go on, please.
No, please go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was listening carefully. I don't have much understanding, but what I to hearing all of you. It's I have a realization in life. Justice or the word is truth will prevail. It may be slightly delayed, but it's never denied. And all of you have a very similar agreement to what Prabhu started. Very similar. So it's very interesting to see that there's a common thread in all your articulation and conversation. If you believe in Him, it is unwavering. It is not going to change. It stays complete conviction. And the bhakti is the devotees. They always wins at the end of the day. If any example is so well mystified and is so deep, it can't be a small trailer. It's a long movie. It's very interesting. It's got a lot of aspects. But at the end of the day, he reveals himself and he takes care of the devotee. Ends it so well, right? No matter, in every example, whatever little I've heard, I'm not that blessed to have heard a lot of examples, but every time I've heard some examples are extremely, very deep, and it just moves you that at the end of the day, He is going to appear, He's going to take care of me. The true justice will prevail, the love will win, the truth is higher than any form of anything. Don't worry about it. Just be at it. It's going to happen. And even if it happens after 36,000 years of what we just talked about, he has reduced to skeleton or what have you. I think it's very profound. So once it dawns on us, I think it changes our life, the way we respond to any situation, because that much is within our control. How do we respond? Maybe the event is not with us. But what is within me? How am I responding to it? Am I changing just because it's, so no storm lasts forever, no bad time lasts forever. Eventually it'll all work out. So I'm hearing everybody almost saying the similar thing, which is very, it reinforces my faith. That's all is my little experience so far.
Thank you. Thank you, Pag. Hare Krishna.
So can I say something? There might be some levity to it, but maybe Prahlad Maharaj had his karma that he had to go through before, Lord Nrsinghadeva came down and, saved him or rescued him or, that kind of thing. Although he was a devotee, maybe from his past, he had some karmas, and in the balance sheet that the Lord had, He said, okay, you finish exhausting that and then I'm going to come. Because I think it's very evident that Krishna or Lord Nrsinghadeva in this case is very calculative. So Hiranyakashipu had this boon that he cannot be killed in the day or the night, inside or outside, and he made sure that he satisfied all the conditions before killing Hiranyakashipu. So that shows that Krishna is very smart and very calculative as well. But that's why I said it might show some levity because this kind of a thinking. But I was just thinking that that's possible too.
Thank you, Piyali.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for this wonderful class. Nice. Thank you so much. What I wanted to share is, this is just my thoughts, is that Prahlad Maharaj was Mahajana, as we know from Bhagavatam. Like, he is an eternally liberated soul, and that he came to assist the Lord in his pastimes here. And there was never a day when he never saw him. Like, he saw Lord everywhere. Whenever he was put into difficulties by his father, Lord did not have to come to show himself to verify to Prahlad that, here I am, I'm there to protect you. He knew in his heart that Lord is there everywhere. I just have to, he saw him everywhere. So my point is that Nrsinghadeva appeared to keep his word. He said that, Lord is in this pole. And Hiranyakashipu, his father, was like, do you think Lord is in this pole? And then he strikes the pole. And because of that, to keep his devotees' words, he appears. Lord didn't have to appear to show to his devotee that, hey, I'm there, The thing is, the devotee always sees the Lord everywhere, through his holy names, through the things happening in his life. He can see the Lord's mercy. The Lord appears. So that is actually very interesting for me to realize that in spite, as bhaktas, we should realize that we will be tested again and again and again by Maya. And it is not an easy path the way we think it is. Because Maya is also like a servant of the Lord. She doesn't want any, like in Hindi we say, era gera not to gera, to go to Goloka. She wants to ensure, because she is a devotee of the Lord, she wants to ensure that only the best go out of this jail to him. So this is how it is just Prahlad assisting the Lord in his pastimes to show that yes, we will be tested time and again through difficult situations, through various circumstances. But what we need to understand is that we need to remember the Lord at every step. Every step we need to see the Lord everywhere. We need to develop that. And that is why he gave us instructions of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. So that is, I think it's spoken by him. Yeah, so it's a wonderful pastime. Thank you.
It is. Thank you for the realizations. And
can I say something?
Yes, Prabhu.
This is Hare Krishna to all of you. This is my thought. The faith is the most important thing. Is one of the most important things. Prahlad Maharaj had a lot of faith in Krishna, and he knew he'd be protected at all times. And that's what he did all his life. He had faith, full faith at all times. And I think that is a big significance to us too, that it's important to have faith. And that will protect us at all times, whether it's up or down in life. This is my simple thought.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
It was good to hear what everybody had to say. What I would like to share is that, in our life, there's different challenges that come. So we feel that Krishna is always there. You just keep the faith, and, he will help us. Some days, it's up and down, whatever it is, that keep the faith with Krishna, and he will always help us wherever we go, whatever we do. If there is some challenge in our life, then you want Krishna to come, please help, with certain situation, whatever it could be. That I feel that it's always with the timing, that Krishna will come on the right time, and he knows the time to appear. Maybe in the case with the Prahlad Maharaj, that the God knows the time. We don't know the time.
Right.
So we just have to keep the faith day to day, that do the good deeds every day, and then on the right time, the Lord will come. So those are my thoughts on it.
Thank you, Anita.
Right. Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question, Prabhu?
Yes, certainly.
Just my personal limitation. I just said I'm not that well read in all these scriptures and all that, and trying to learn. Having said that, every time I try to learn or try to practice, it's difficult, but it's not that impossible. But I'll tell you where my difficulty is, or almost become impossible. When I'm a little workaholic, I do a lot of work. That's my passion to devote my life towards that. if I look at my work life versus outside the work life, which is equally complex, I'm able to handle outside the work life in a little more balanced way, in a little more way, conviction that it'll all work out. It'll all work out. I don't fall down too often. But in work life, since it's a very time-bound thing, I get out of patience very fast. I know it'll work out. Trying to fool me, or convince me, but I don't get convinced, because what happens is, it's almost like when you're in a race, there is no silver medal in the kind of work that I do. Either you get a gold medal or you fail. So when you fail, you failed. There is nothing called second chance, right? It's like a cricket match. You are out, you're out. You're back to the pavilion. So how does one do that, which is the core? For me, my core is my work. Right now means the first, unless I retire and all that stuff, right? So when somebody is passionate about, and that to work, it's not some bad work, that's my job. And I'm married to my job more than I'm married to anything else. And I believe, and I'm doing my work, it's in a very hard work, very sincere work, I have no problem there, but then it's a relative game. The results are very relative. And more often than not, in a competitive world, it's a lot of failures, a lot of unsuccessful effort. And when one going through that, every time I'm trying to reboot myself, saying, no, it'll work out, maybe the next deal, it's okay. But if I have to admit it just hasn't dawned over. I have 30 plus years of experience in life in terms of work. And I want to admit here that I'm not able to put that into practice as much as I can put into practice what is called outside the work. For example, we talked about how the liquor shop pandemonium that is going on in India. It wasn't so difficult for me to give up drinking. It was not difficult to, not difficult, it's no big deal. I can, let's say, I'm born and brought up eating non-vegetarian food. I'm a completely vegan guy. There's no big deal. What I'm saying is that it didn't take anything to do that. Almost like naturally came. But I wanted to do it just like that. So with a little bit of help from, Lord Krishna helped me here. Let me get that masti or cool thing from you, or let me chill by thinking through your stuff. That because I can. So somebody said that, right? I can actually feel him everywhere. Even the worst thing that I go through, but still, when I get to job, I want to admit one thing: I'm not being able to crack that code at all. It is like I get hassled, I get worried, I get almost inhuman in the sense of to myself. I'm not. I don't forgive myself, so I get So that's. Just wanted some people's experience here to kind of talk about a little bit to help me here, because I've not been, it's not a 1 year experience. It's not that I don't know. I know it, but yet when I put to practice the same person, it's an uphill task. The same person. When I look at just outside the work, I can do it like this. I'm saying it egoistic way, please don't take it otherwise. It is, and that's a tremendous mercy, I can tell you. Must be his mercy as well. I would respect that, because I'm not doing it, but I'm saying that he is helping me in that part of life, like this. In other part of life, he wants me to go through massive pain.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for sharing. So I just, I appreciate your candor and honesty. I just want to hear from somebody else, because I think almost all of us, we are in a similar situation where we are trying to balance conflicting priorities with varying degrees of success. And our professional life, of course, takes a big chunk of our life and our thought process and our very existence. So just want to hear from somebody else or others. What are your thoughts on this?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. For me, as I was hearing the Prabhuji, like I was surprised because he works so hard and so dedicated for his work. But I was thinking I generally doesn't carry that much of interest. So I was thinking that okay, it is not that everybody like me. The work is not always kind of. I do not have any suggestions, but it's kind of a realization that some people are very passionate naturally for work. And,
Gotcha. Other thoughts?
Prabhuji, this is Avinash. I'm at the stage when I went through this, saying what he's just saying, I was working, I enjoyed working, it was great. But a time comes in life, when you say enough is enough, what it doesn't matter, and you are the only one who has to make a decision in life, whether you want to continue or you want to say goodbye. So it's your decision. You are the one who has to do it. There's no harm in taking input from other people. And people who have gone through it before. I guess from all our NH family, most of them are working. I'm the only one who retired 2 years ago. And every bit of it is great fun. I really enjoy being with my wife. Enjoy being with my grandkids. It's just super, And people, whoever think, hey, life after retirement is much, much better, Don't even have to worry about getting up in the morning. When you sleep at night, you sleep good,
Just 3 cooked meals a day.
I get 3 cooked meals. Well, that's at this time, but then you only plan for your next vacation. That's it, the most important thing. So you are the one who has to make a decision in life. Hey, you want professional life or you want to have a family life, So don't depend upon everybody's, on other people's decision. Make or your own decision. You are the judge. You are the, it was going to affect you, nobody else. So this is my little thought, But if you want a personal discussion from like one-to-one, you can always call me, and I'll be glad to give you a call, tell you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Sorry, go ahead, Mataji.
Oh, Aribo, this is Vijaya. I completely understand where, I think the question was from Dhawal.
From Pad, it's from Pad.
Oh, sorry. Because I thought I could see Dhawal in the same place. But, I used to be in that position. I think it was a competitive part of our personality. I think either it's in education or at work, you just want to. It's not that everybody else is thinking you are not that intelligent or you can't make a decisions or you can't be forceful. But I think I'm thinking that you're at a very young age. But as you grow older and if you have the understanding, like Avnish Prabhu was saying, the importance of others or importance of other things will come up too. That will slowly subside, but it's just that competitive spirit and, to prove it to everybody that I do know the stuff, I can do it faster than you can do kind of thing. So my suggestion is don't fret it over, these discussions or like even at work, if I need to calm down, I would say, like 5 times, Muhammad's right handed. So it just lower my pulse a little bit so I don't snap at people. But that's just my suggestion too.
Sure.
I can see where I was like 15 years ago. So.
Thank you, Vijay. Akshay Prabhu?
I also agree with Ravi Prabhu that Pat Prabhu, I am not so passionate when it comes to work. I think I was a little bit a few years ago, but then I had kids. So currently I have a 5-year-old boy and a 1.5-year-old girl. So I have those commitments as well. I feel that we only have so much of energy in the day that we can utilize.
Yeah.
And we have to intelligently see where we can use the least energy to get the most gain. We know the 20-80 rule, obviously, but I have these discussions with my sister more so lately, that what is it of all the things in our life, say if it is exercise, say it is meditation, say it is work, say it is family, say it is finances, say it is social life, or even social philanthropy. Of all the things, what is it that can, if we do it with whole of our heart and whole of our might, that can ripple its effect into the rest of the spheres in our life. So, in other words, like what is it that we can do that will create a balance in the rest of the circles of our life? I think that I have this discussion going on with my parents all the time, and we always come to the conclusion that spirituality it is, that really is the balancing factor. There's the analogy that most of us know about, that we can water the leaves, each and every leaves of the plant, but they will only have so much of effect unless we water the roots of the plant, and then each and every leaf gets the sustenance.
Yep.
So that's my 2 cents, and not that I'm completely perfect in it. It's a matter of practice, because of a whole lot of training, because it's difficult. There's with so many responsibilities, there's physical health, your own health. There are so many aspects to your own self itself. There's the social life that we have. There's family responsibilities, your own family. How are you a good neighbor in your neighborhood? At work, obviously. So, I just feel that with spirituality, if there is success in any of the spheres of our life, then we don't take it in the form of pride, or arrogance sneaks in very easily. If we were going through spiritual focus, then there's a lot of gratitude. There's a lot of thankfulness that obviously it is not my effort or my work that led to this point, but it is what I've been blessed with through gurus or through Krishna. And if there's a failure, then there's no dejection or disappointment. But there's a lot of enthusiasm that comes in if we look at it through a spiritual focus, that we spring back in the mood of service. That okay, there was a failure, but I can definitely next time I have to do my best. So yeah, that's only my 2 cents. So,
Thank you. Very nice.
Akshay Prabhu, what
Yes.
is 2080 rule, Prabhu? Like,
huh?
you said something like 2080 rule or something, right? What is that?
20. Oh, so that's basically like 20% of what is it that you will do 20%. That will give you 80% returns.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's called Pareto principle.
Priority principle, right?
It says 80-20, 20-80, whichever it is. No, I think where I just sorry to break the flow, but I would just add a little bit. Maybe I didn't articulate well. The same person, same principle is unable to apply almost flawlessly in my life and have tremendous results, tremendous conviction. The same person in another situation, not able to apply. And a constant, it's almost like an addiction of not being able to apply. So that means, no, it can't, I just won't accept the failure. The failure means, it's just getting hassled in one part of life, other part of life, the same person, unable to apply, and able to get a very, not a quick result, I will call it almost guarantee that I can handle the situation. The same day, in the work hours, I will lie if I say I'm able to apply the principle. It is not that I'm not aware of the principle. The application of the same principle, the realization is a failure. I can fraud myself here that I'm able to apply 100% of the time. Why am I not able to, without being drunk, in the same consciousness, normal person?
Thank you.
How does it?
Thank you, Prabhu.
You can understand one part of life was like that, another part of life became like that. In that same life, in the same 24 hours.
So I think there are. Thank you, Prabhu, and thank you everybody for sharing such wonderful realizations. So there are two analogies, Prabhu, that Srila Prabhupada would give.
Sure.
That I think are relevant in all our lives. One is, he would say, if two dogs are fighting, which dog wins?
Which dog will you feed?
So that was a question he would ask. If two dogs are fighting, which dog wins? The answer is the dog that you feed wins. So when you have competing priorities, then the priority behind which your energy goes triumphs. So Avinash Prabhu was making that point, and Akshay Prabhu was making, I guess, more from an experiential basis. I'm trying to make it more from a principle basis. That it's the way that we set our priorities in life. You and I are both getting old, so we have seen our life's priorities change. Like if you look back 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, not just in profession, but in different ways. How much can our body sustain now? So, going to bed at 9 p.m. is very, very important for me. That's my priority. That I should be, everybody at work knows that I don't answer emails. My phone's on silent mode. I just say that's the cost of my survival. I can respond early in the morning, but not after 9 p.m. Second analogy that again Prabhupada would make is, you have a glass of milk and you have a glass of ink, and you want the glass of ink to contain milk in it. So he would say one way is that you throw out the ink and you put the milk. Simple solution. But the most difficult solution to practice. So he would say that continue to add milk in the glass that has ink in it until there is only milk in it. So we are living in a certain conception, and you're using your profession, but each one of us has our own grinding stone that is holding us back. For some it is profession, for some it may be family, for some it may be health, some it may be fame, glory. So each one of us has that glass of ink. And Srila Prabhupada would say that gradually begin to add milk to it. So you're working. Maybe you can make a commitment to yourself that once in an hour I will maybe chant one round. Maybe I have Bhagavad Gita copy on my table. I'll read a verse. So that way Krishna begins to enter into your life that you find most difficult to let Krishna enter. It may be difficult for you to give up everything one day and just take a different lifestyle. But Krishna has that way. That Krishna is the classical, you give him an inch, he will take a feet. So you let Krishna a little bit in your life, he will take more place in a good way. But Krishna does not force himself, right? So you have to open the door a little bit for Krishna to enter. So we were having this discussion of Prahlad Maharaj, which is very relevant in the context of the questions that you have asked. That so Piali had made this point. It was in a mood of levity, but it's actually a valid point that Prahlad Maharaj did not have good antecedents. In his previous life, he was addicted to sex. He was in a relationship he was the son of a Brahmin, but not an exemplary son by any imagination. Now it so happened that he had set up a tryst with a prostitute to meet him at a temple in a jungle with the idea of having conjugal relationship, and they had a quarrel. And because they quarreled, they did not sleep the whole night. Now before she came, he was getting things ready for her to come. So he was in an abandoned building, he was cleaning up the building, making sure that it's nice and presentable. And when she came, they quarreled. So whole night they were quarreling. They did not sleep, they did not eat, and they left. It so happened that that building where he was doing this was a temple of Lord Nrsinghadeva. It also so happened that that day was Narsingh Chaturdashi. So because of this Gyat Sukriti, because of this devotional service that he rendered unknowingly to Lord Nrsinghadeva, he got this exalted birth as Prahlad Maharaj. And because Krishna wanted to give him something for purification, Krishna gave him that. Now the Acharyas also say that there is a lot of talk about the trials and tribulations of Prahlad Maharaj. But actually, if we were to look at it a little bit more deeply, all the trials and tribulations were of Hiranyakashipu, not of Prahlad Maharaj. Nrsinghadeva did not really come for Prahlad Maharaj. Lord Nrsinghadeva came for the demigods. Because Prahlad Maharaj was always protected. So this point I think almost everybody made, right? Hiranyakashipu was doing so much atrocities on Prahlad Maharaj, and he was not experiencing anything. So it's not that when he was thrown off the cliff, he was like, oh my God, I'm falling, I'm dying. No. He was just meditating on Krishna, and it wasn't even his expectation that Krishna would catch him. In his mind, whether he is caught or he's not caught, it's the same. Whether he's boiled in oil or whether he's not boiled in oil, it's the same. Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj, he actually expresses this in a with little bit more levity. He says that Prahlad Maharaj was actually having fun because he was a child and his mood was that of playing. He was like, yeah, throw me from a higher cliff. It's a lot of fun. And these snakes, they are such funny creatures. So he was actually looking at it from that perspective. So he wasn't suffering. The person who was suffering was Hiranyakashipu. All day and all night he was running around. If you look at the monologues of Hiranyakashipu, he is like, will this child be my death? That I have conquered death, and yet I have death personified in my very own house. How am I going to kill him? What if somehow Vishnu kills me through him? He was the one who was in anxiety. So that's the kind of protection that one gets when one is associating with Krishna without asking for any protection. Prahlad Maharaj's mood right till the end was that he didn't really want to ask for anything. When Lord Nrsinghadeva forced him to ask, then he asked for his father. He said, may my father not suffer for any offenses that he may have committed at your lotus feet. And then in the 5th canto, he prays that may there be no envy in this world. May everybody in this world be pacified. So he was asking for others because his mood was very strongly that I don't need anything. I actually have everything because I have Krishna. So we obviously cannot be Prahlad Maharaj artificially, but as Ravi Prabhu mentioned, we can aspire to follow in his footsteps. He was able to demonstrate that level of dependence on Krishna effortlessly, but we are practicing devotees, so we can demonstrate it with an effort. Whether it's in profession, whether it's in health, there are always some challenges that will come in our lives. If you look back in your life, you can probably mark on the calendar the few days when there were no challenges. Otherwise, there's something or the else that's going on. We were having this discussion of how is everybody dealing with COVID, and I was very surprised to see the challenges that people are sharing. From things like this one person was saying that one girl was saying that I'm taken to talk to my bear. She had a small teddy bear. She says, I'm all alone and I have nobody to talk to, nobody to meet. So I talked to my bear. And she wasn't being facetious. She was actually quite sad about it. And other people about, how they're, especially people with small kids, they were like, I thought I loved my kids until this COVID happened. And now I realize that, there are little demons in my house and, And so many many realizations coming up. And if it is not COVID, it will be something else. Something else all the others will come. Either adhyatmik, adhibhautik, adhidevik. Either from outside, from inside, or from our body. Something or the else will go on. So we can let Krishna come into our life one step at a time. Maybe chant a few rounds, read a little bit, associate with the devotees, and and the mood, Krishna will reciprocate. We will see his hand more and more. And Krishna protects more from inside out. So he may not make everything according to our desires, but he will make us so that we are not affected by our desires, which is the greatest protection that we can get. Okay, so any other questions, comments?
Just a general comment, Prabhu. Like all the pastimes, they have so many different interpretations, so many different perspectives. Like, one is looking from, in this case, probably Prahlad Maharaj's perspective. Another is looking from Hiranyakashipu's perspective. Like, even there's a backstory where Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha came as demons, right? So, why are all of these stories so complicated? It's not like, black and white. They have too many nuances in it. Like, all the pastimes, very nuanced, and there are a lot of different philosophical interpretations for pretty much almost all the pastimes that are there. Like, Krishna's association with the gopis, all of that has different nuanced understanding, right? Why is it not just simple black and white? Like, the fact that, okay, you chant and you feel closer to Krishna, you get closer to Krishna. That is very black and white. That's easy to do, easy to follow, and easy to digest. I just feel like, sometimes spun around in circle because I'm thinking of so many different perspectives.
True. Thank you. That's a very good question. So Srila Prabhupada would say that Krishna is very simple, Krishna consciousness is very simple, we are very crooked. So that's why he has to meet us on our terms. At the end of the day, so Rupa Goswami says that, the essential principle of Krishna consciousness is always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. Right? Can't go simpler than that. But then somebody says, what is the difference between always remembering and never forgetting? So then one nuance comes, making a distinction between always remembering and never forgetting. Then somebody else will say, okay, I understand that difference. But what about when I'm always remembering him, but in the form of the demigods? Or what if I'm remembering him in the form of my parents? Another nuance comes. So the principle becomes complex because of the mood of the person who is receiving the principle. And that's why, as you rightly pointed out, the pastimes are so layered. If you have to look at the complexity of the layering, you have to see the pastimes in Mahabharata. They're very, very complex. At the core of it, there is bhakti, then there is dharma, arth, kam, moksha, and at a superficial level, Mahabharata is a book of intrigue and politics. One of the most popular novels that one can read. If you start reading Mahabharata, I can guarantee you won't be able to put it down. Even though you know the story, you still won't be able to put it down, right? So from that perspective, and if you drill down to it, it is about pure devotional service. But the nuances is there because it is to cater to our nuanced mentality. In the spiritual world, they're simple pastimes. There is Krishna, there is you, there are loving exchanges. Sometimes Krishna is happy, sometimes Krishna is sad, so sometimes Krishna teases you. So they are very linear pastimes over there. You won't see when in some of the more exalted Vaishnava literatures, where Krishna's pastimes with Srimati Radharani, the gopis as described, you don't see a lot of this layering going on. They're just enjoyable, simple pastimes. Young boy, young girl, or small child with parent, straightforward and simple. But then what do? We dismiss it. We say, what kind of a God runs away in fear of thunder? What kind of a God carries the slippers of his fathers on his head? What kind of a God can run after other girls? So then the acharyas come and say, no, he's not running after other girls. This is God running after his own energy. This is the God consorting with his own internal energy. So really, what internal energy? What are the other energies? He has an external and marginal energy. Really? Tell me more about the external energy. So then the nuances come in. Also, Krishna achieves many things through the same action. Like when he says in the Bhagavad Gita that he comes to destroy the demons, establish the principles of religion, encourage his devotees. All that he accomplishes through the same set of actions. So that's why you see, Krishna destroying Hiranyakashipu, then, he is protecting Prahlad Maharaj. He's leaving behind the pastime for us to relish. So that's why he is extending this pastime, prolonging it, so that we can get more and more inspired by it. Is that okay, Pyali? Okay. Thank you. Nice question.
Extra project. Actually, when you started today's class, you mentioned how Bhagavatam, the activities of Hiranyakashipu and this whole pastime started from Shishupal's, killing of Shishupal. It was very fascinating how it all started up. Can you please tell how the Hiranyaksha, very briefly, not if possible, how the Hiranyaksha story started from where? Because these days I am telling intermittently to my brother's sons the story of these 6 pastime from Jayavijaya to Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu and Ravana, Kumbhakarna and Shishupal. But this order actually fascinated me to tell a story like a flashback and coming forward. And also I am realizing how shallow my understanding also, because to tell that why Ravan appeared in a saintly family as a demon, all those connections I am missing. When I see the central story, I think that I know, but Rumali, Sumali, those 3 demons, they are killed in the Devasur Sangram, and then that link to this, and the same Devasur Sangram, Bal Maharaj was there, and he died and again took birth. There are so many links are there. So, if possible, can you please tell this one? I'm studying little more, but if possible.
I'm trying to think. So at least in the Bhagavatam, the Hiranyaksh pastime is actually spoken in the context of the Vara Avatar, the recitation of the Vara Avatar. I'm trying to think if there was a catalyst to it. I actually don't remember, honestly speaking, if there was some backdrop to reciting the pastime there. Let me do a little bit of research on that.
Sure. Thank you. I will also study.
Okay. Okay, so maybe we can all chant one round of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and we should do the Nrsinghadeva prayer after that, right? We'll do the Nrsinghadeva prayer after that. So, okay, Hare Krishna.